Peace and love, Black family. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. We are live and direct from Philadelphia. We're going to mellow it out today. Past couple of seminars have been about political topics. Past couple seminars have been about social topics. Past couple seminars have been about conscious topics. I want to take it back to the parents today. I want to take it back to the mothers and fathers who are raising their children today. So if you know of someone who's thinking about putting their child in special education, please have them tune in at this time. If you know of someone who's thinking about putting their child in special education, please have them tune in at this time. If you know about someone who already has a child in special education, please have them tune in at this time. Today, I want to go over the 8-stage process of the psychological evaluation process, the special education evaluation process. 8 stages that you need to know about. Too often parents get involved in this special education machine. Most of the time you don't even have a good reason as to why you allowed them to get you involved in the special ed process. Many of you have no idea why your child is even sitting in special education. Some of you just do whatever white people tell you to do. If they tell you your son is retarded, you go along with it. If they tell you your daughter has a learning disability, you go along with it. If they tell you your grandson is emotionally disturbed, you go along with it. Too often, most of you just go along with whatever the hell these white folks and coons want you to go along with in the school system. So today, I just want to educate you a little bit on the special education evaluation process. The special education evaluation process. Excuse me for 1 second. I need to send someone a quick text message. So, first of all, what is special education? And by the way, if you live in one of the cities where Dr. Umar Johnson will be making a grand debut this summer, we're going to get into this much more fully than I'm going to go over it today. So today is just a small sample size of the information I'm going to cover at Elizabeth City State University. I will be coming to Elizabeth City State University in North Carolina on Friday night, August the 31st. Friday night, August the 31st, the Prince of Pan-Africanism will be making his grand debut at Elizabeth City State University in North Carolina. If you live in Alabama, Dr. Umar Johnson will be making his grand debut for the very first time in Montgomery, Alabama on Sunday, July the 8th, Montgomery, Alabama. If you live in Shreveport, Louisiana, Dr. Umar Johnson will be making his grand debut in Shreveport, Louisiana on Friday night, September the 14th. Friday night, September the 14th. Dallas, Texas. I will be returning to Dallas, Texas for the first time in nearly 3 years on Sunday, September the 16th. Shreveport, Louisiana, Friday, September the 14th. Dallas, Texas, Sunday, September the 16th. Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Friday, August the 31st. Raleigh, North Carolina, Sunday, September the 2nd. Montgomery, Alabama, Sunday, July the 8th. Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, Saturday, July the 7th. The Prince of Pan-Africanism is coming to a city near you. University of the Bahamas. I will be making my grand debut at the University of the Bahamas on Saturday, June the 30th. So for all my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean islands, get ready for the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I am coming to the University of the Bahamas on Saturday, June the 30th. Tickets are already on sale. Tickets are already on sale. Get them. They are limited. Do not wait. Suffolk, Virginia. 7 cities. Suffolk, Virginia. Sunday, July the 15th. The Prince of Pan-Africanism will be back in the 7 cities for the first time in almost 3 years. Suffolk, Virginia on Sunday, July the 15th. And we're working on Sumter, South Carolina for Friday, July the 13th. But we may have to switch Sumter for another city. If you want to be that other city on Friday, July the 13th, then you need to send me some venue information. I want to go to a city I've never been to before. I love going to cities I've never been to before. So if you know of a city I need to come to that I've never been to before, then maybe I will switch out Sumter for your city for Friday, July the 13th. Get your tickets right now. drumarjohnson.eventb.com. Get your tickets right now. drumar johnson.eventb.com. If you need to reach me, Dr.Umar Johnson at yahoo.com. If you need to reach me, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. That is a text message only line. You will never get a call back by leaving a message on that phone. You will never get a call back by leaving a message on that phone. If you need to leave a voice message, you need to call 8444 Dr. Umar. If you need to leave a voice message, you need to call 844 drumar. All right. Good morning to the kings. Good morning to the queens. Good morning to the kings. Good morning to the queens. You don't have to buy tickets for children 17 and under. They're always free. You don't have to buy tickets for children 17 and under. They're always free. You don't have to buy tickets for grandmom and grandpop 65 and older. They're always free. You don't have to buy tickets for children, and you don't have to buy tickets for elders 65 and older. They are always free. If you want to go to Africa, we're taking last-minute registrations. If you want to join us in Ethiopia and Egypt, if you want to be with us in Ethiopia and Egypt, if you want to be with Dr. Umar when I take a letter of petition to the African Union, if you want to be with Intellectualifatunde when we visit the African Union headquarters in Ethiopia built by His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, it is not too late. We've extended the registration for 1 additional week. We are leaving from New York City on July the 22nd, and we return to New York City August the 6th. We will leave New York City on July the 22nd, and we will return to New York City on August the 6th. If you are interested in attending the 2-week, 14 days, 14 nights trip with the Prince of Pan-Africanism, featuring a 4-night cruise on the Nile River, if you want to be there, send me a text. I will send you the phone number and email for Mother Sharifa. You need to get registered this week. You need to get registered this week. If you want to be a member of my first annual inaugural Course of Pan-African Philosophy Leadership Training Colloquium, the first annual Course of Pan-African Philosophy Leadership Training Colloquium. If you want to be a part of that, you must email me an autobiographical letter of interest. Who are you and why do you want this course? Who are you and why do you want this course? Email that to drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. No, ladies, I'm not in shape yet. Okay? It's just a fitted t-shirt. I am Nat Turner. 821, 1831. You know how we get down. Okay, so don't let the t-shirt mislead you. I am still Big Papa. I am still notorious RBG. I am still Big Papa. I am still notorious RBG. Anyhow, brothers and sisters, only 50 people will be selected for the first annual course of African philosophy. We will meet one Saturday every month. We will meet one Saturday every month from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. 12 straight hours with small breaks in between. 12 straight hours with small breaks in between. And you will be responsible for coursework and reading and course papers outside of class. Okay? 144 hours of class time face-to-face. 144 hours of class time face-to-face. 12 hours a day for 12 Saturdays is 144 hours of face-to-face time. But in addition to that, you will have out-of-class work, out-of-class assignments, and you will be able to conference and tutor with Dr. Umar Johnson outside of class. Only 50 Africans. You must be at least 18 years old. There is a fee. There is a fee. There is a fee. If you are selected, if you are one of the 50 that I will select, and I plan to do half youth, half elder, half male, half female. Half youth, half elder, half male, half female. Okay? Go ahead and send in your autobiographical letter of interest to drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. After watching today's seminar, if there's any parents out there who need a private consultation with Dr. Umar Johnson, a private consultation with Dr. Umar Johnson, send me a text or email. I do charge $50 for the private consultation. You can email me your paperwork and we will go through it. Life coaching. If any of you need life coaching, you're going through an issue in your life, some challenges, career decisions, whatever the case may be, and you need an objective, independent voice, where you're dealing with a doctor of clinical psychology, I can be that objective, independent voice, and I can provide you with the life coaching that you need. Again, text me or email me, and we can schedule that. So, let's get into the topic. Let's get into the topic. As you know, I'm a certified school psychologist. I've been studying school psychology for 20 years. In fact, this is my 20th year anniversary of studying school psychology, 1998 to 2018, 20 years in the field, and I'm sure I know more than you about it, so please listen up. Parents, pay attention. Get your notepad, okay? Again, this is just a snapshot. This is a small sample of what I'm going to be covering at my debuts in Montgomery, Alabama, Shreveport, Louisiana, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and potentially Sumter, South Carolina. But I'm also going to touch on it in Dallas, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to touch on it in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm going to touch on it in Suffolk, Virginia. Again, get your tickets, drumarjohnson.eventb.com. Let me bring Instagram on for a little while. Let's get a little Instagram. Let's get a little Instagram. Let's get a little Instagram on here. You're now live, okay? So we got a little Instagram on. Okay, so let's talk about the 8 stages of the school psychological evaluation process, also known as the multidisciplinary evaluation process, also known as the special education evaluation process, okay? So when you hear those terms, they are pretty much the same thing. Let's say them again. The school psychological evaluation process, the multidisciplinary evaluation process, the special education evaluation process. They are all the same thing. 3 different words to describe the same thing. School psychological evaluation process, multidisciplinary evaluation process, and the special education evaluation process. They are all pretty much the same thing, okay? Now, special education is a federal law. Special education is a federal law that was created in 1975 with an act of Congress, the Public Law 94-142. Public Law 94-142, which gave birth to the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. Education for All Handicapped Children Act. That law changed several times. Currently, we're under the most modern version of special ed law, which is known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act 2004, I think. Okay. Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act 2004, signed by former President George W. Bush. We did not get a new special ed law under Barack Obama. We might get a new special ed law under Donald Trump. You normally get a new special ed law every 10 or so years. It's been longer than that, so I am anticipating a new special ed law soon. Okay, now, there's two laws that basically govern special education. There's two laws that basically govern special education. Two major aspects of special ed law. The first one is known as FAPE, and the second one is known as LRE. The first one is known as FAPE, and the second one is known as LRE. Let's deal with FAPE first, LRE second, and then we're going to deal with the 8 stages of the evaluation process inside of the school. Okay, so FAPE. FAPE is an acronym, F-A-P-E. FAPE is an acronym, F-A-P-E, and FAPE stands for Free and Appropriate Public Education. FAPE stands for Free and Appropriate Public Education. FAPE stands for Free and Appropriate Public Education. That means that when your child is evaluated and it is determined that they have a disability, the services that the child needs in order to learn must be free. You don't have to pay for services for a child with a special education disability. You don't have to pay for services for a child with a special education disability. Free and appropriate public education. F-A-P-E. 4 letters. Okay? So free means if your child has a disability and they need a service, you don't have to pay for it. Okay? Now let's deal with appropriate. Let's deal with appropriate. The word appropriate is very controversial. It's not clearly defined. And in essence, what they mean when they say a child with a disability has a right to an appropriate education, they're saying that if your child has a disability, the educational program must be reasonably designed for your child to receive some sort of a benefit. Okay, that's what appropriate means. Appropriate means that we should be able to measure the progress of your child and we should see a result. Okay, appropriate. So let me give you some examples of it not being appropriate. Let's say your son has been in special ed for 5 years. He's not intellectually disabled and he still can't read. If your son has been in special ed for 5 years, still can't read, and he's not intellectually disabled, then you're going to argue that education is not appropriate. Your daughter has a speech and language impairment. Your daughter has a speech and language impairment. Your daughter has been receiving speech therapy since preschool. She's now 10 years old and she's been receiving speech therapy since she was 3 years old. So she's been getting speech therapy for 7 years, and she still has trouble talking. She's still stuttering. She still has articulation problems. Well, guess what? Okay? You're going to argue that your daughter's speech therapy has not been appropriate. You're going to argue that your daughter's speech therapy has not been appropriate. So appropriate means that you should see some sort of improvement as a result of your child receiving special education service. Free and appropriate public education. If they're making you pay for anything, if they're making you pay for tutoring, if they're making you pay for bus services, if they're making you pay for a one-to-one aid, if the public or charter school, because a charter school is a public school, let me say it again, a charter school is a public school, let me say it one more time, a charter school is a public school, a charter school is an alternative public school. If the charter school or public school is making you pay for your special ed child to receive any service, they are breaking the law. If the charter or public school has your child in special ed and your child is not benefiting from special ed, then guess what? The education is not appropriate. Please understand FAPE, free and appropriate public education. Now let's go with the second part, the second major tenet of special ed law. And the second major tenet is LRE, least restrictive environment. Least restrictive environment, LRE, least restrictive environment. What does LRE mean? What does LRE mean? What does LRE mean? LRE means even if the child has a disability, even if the child needs special education, you cannot put the child in special education for any longer amount of time than what is necessary for the child to learn. Let me say that again. For a child in special education, they cannot be subject to special education any longer than what is absolutely necessary in order for the child to learn. Your son has a reading disability. Your son has a reading disability. Why is he in special education all day long? Your daughter has a math disability. Your daughter has a math disability. Why is she in special education all day long? Your grandson has mild autism. Your grandson has mild autism. Why is he in special education all day long? Your granddaughter has ADHD. She's getting special ed for ADHD. Why is she in special education all day long? Parents, I want to tell you this, and please hear me well. Parents, I want to tell you this, and please hear me well. Okay? Of course I'm correct. I'm an expert in this field. Okay? And I'm the only person in the conscious community who's an expert in this field. So of course I know what I'm talking about. Okay? So anyhow, parents, hear me well. If your child has a disability, if your child has a disability, please make sure your child is not in special education all day. If your child is in special education all day, I can pretty much guarantee you that the school is breaking the law. If your child is in special education all day, I can guarantee you that the school is breaking the law. And the reason I can guarantee you that the school is breaking the law is because you cannot justify, you cannot explain, okay? There's no way you can make someone understand why a child with a little bit of a disability is in special ed all day long. How do you explain why a child with a little bit of a disability is in special education all day long? And the main reason black boys are in special ed all day, the main reason black boys are in special ed all day, and we're going to talk about this more in Elizabeth City, in Montgomery, and in Shreveport, the reason black boys are in special ed all day is because the white teachers don't want them in their class. So even though the law says your son can only be put in special ed to the extent necessary in order to learn, the school is putting them in special education all day long because they know that you're not going to do nothing about it. And they know that the only reason the white classroom teacher or the coonish black teacher put your child in special education to begin with is because they wanted them out of the classroom. Okay? If your child is in special ed all day, the school is breaking the law 95% of the time. Now, if the child is blind, if the child is deaf, if the child has serious autism, if they have a serious emotional disturbance where they beat up other kids and throw chairs and try to run out of the school, that's a different story, okay? But when you're dealing with regular learning disabilities, when you're dealing with regular so-called learning disabilities, you cannot justify putting a child in special education all day long. Okay? Free and appropriate public education, least restrictive environment. Free and appropriate public education, least restrictive environment. Okay? Now, let's talk about the 8 stages of the psychological evaluation process, the school psychological evaluation process, the special education evaluation process, the multidisciplinary evaluation process. Okay? Now, let's talk about child find. Step number 1. We're going through 8 of these. Step number 1 is called child find. Every public and charter school in America is responsible, even if the parents never open their mouth. Every public and charter school in America is responsible, even if a parent never opens their mouth. They are responsible for finding the children with disabilities. It's called child find. It's called child find. Okay? As a former school administrator myself, I'm familiar with child find. You have to find the children with the disabilities. Parents don't have to tell you about them. You have the responsibility, the federal obligation to find the children with the disabilities. This is why the school will call you up and say, we think we have mental retardation. We think we have autism. We think your child is reading disabled. We think they're math disabled. We think they're emotionally disturbed. We think they have a speech and language problem. The reason they call you is because the school is responsible for finding the children with disabilities. The school is responsible for finding the children with disabilities. However, you should not let them find your child if you don't agree that something is wrong. This is where black parents mess up all the time. This is where black parents mess up all the time. This is where black parents mess up all the time. They call you up and say, we think Tay-Tay is retarded. They call you up and they say, we think John is emotionally disturbed. They call you up and they say, we think Day has a math disability. They call you up and they say, we think Rob is autistic. Just because they think your child has a problem doesn't mean your child has a problem. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Just because they think your child has a problem doesn't mean your child has a problem. And too often, you black parents fall into some sort of psychological comatose. Too many coonish black parents, cooning ass black parents, the minute a white person calls you up and tells you they think something is wrong with your child, you fall into a psychological coma and you just start doing whatever the hell they tell you to do with your child, and you need to stop it. And you need to stop it. They do not care about your children. They do not love your children. The only reason why they are with your children is because they got bills to pay in the all-white suburb. The only reason why they're with your children is because they have bills to pay in the all-white suburb. Do you understand? Do you understand? In fact, if you were to ask me, Dr. Umar, name me a movie that reminds you of black parents in the public school. Dr. Umar, name me a movie that reminds you of black parents in the charter school. And if I had to name you a movie that reminds me of black parents in the public school, it would be The Walking Dead. Y'all remind me of The Walking Dead. Simple as go along to get along, black parents remind me of The Walking Dead. Y'all be saying, huh? We think your child is retarded. Come sign this paperwork. Come sign the paperwork. Whatever you say, massa. Whatever you say. He needs some Ritalin. He needs some Prozac. He needs some Adderall. He needs some Depakote. He needs some Paxil. He needs sign. Y'all act like Walking Dead. Y'all walk into school and y'all just let white folks tell you what to do. This is the black parent in the public school. This is the black parent in the charter school. Whatever you say, massa. Yes, whatever you say, massa, he's retarded. Whatever you say, massa, reading disability. Whatever you say, massa, emotionally disturbed. Whatever you say, massa, ADHD. And y'all need to stop it. And y'all need to stop it. Stop turning off your damn brain when you walk into the school. Stop turning off your damn brain when you walk into the school. And don't trust the Negroes either. I'm going to say it again. We have a lot of good black educators. Most black educators, I would say, care about the children, even though a lot of them are psychologically burned out and are no longer good teachers because they've been abused and misused. And so now they're just going through the motions. But we have a lot of very good black educators, but we also have a lot of very bad black educators. Let me say it again. We have a lot of good black educators, but we also have a lot of bad black educators. Do not assume that the black people care because their name is Amin Ra, Ankh, Ptah, Khnum, Sekhmet, Geb, Nut, Tahuti. That doesn't mean that they're not a Kum. Just because he got on a dashiki, just because she got locks, just because she's burning incense, just because she drank green smoothies, that doesn't mean she cares about your child. And too many of y'all will walk into these Afrocentric charter schools. Too many of y'all will walk into these Afrocentric charter schools. Too many of y'all will walk into these black charter schools and assume they're doing a better job with your child because they're black. And I'm here to tell you that is nonsense. In my experience, I have painfully learned that the black charter schools are not necessarily better than the white ones. Some of them are. Some of them are. Some of them are. And some of them are not. So, step one, find the child with the problem. Step one, find the child with the problem. Step one, we identify a child with a math problem, reading problem, emotional problem, intellectual problem, autistic problem, speech problem, visual problem, hearing problem, orthopedic problem. You identify the child with the disability. That's step one. Now, what is step two? What is step two? Step one is child find. What is step 2 of 8? Step 2 of 8 is a step that most black parents never hear about. Step 2 of 8 is a step that most black parents never hear about. Step 2 of 8 is a step that most black parents never hear about. And step 2 is what we call pre-referral intervention. PRI, pre-referral intervention. Pre means before. Referral means testing for special ed. Intervention means let's try to solve the problem. Pre-referral intervention means let's try to solve the problem without special ed, without special ed, without special ed, without testing, without testing. Stage 2 is pre-referral intervention. Stop flirting with me. Pre-referral intervention, okay? That means we're going to try to solve the problem without special education, okay? My Facebook queens, the YouTube queens is flirting with me. The Facebook queens is focused. The YouTube queens is flirting with me. The Instagram queens is even chilling. Normally Instagram be buck wild. Instagram is cool today. The YouTube queens is flirting a little bit. Stop flirting. Stay focused. The Facebook queens is focused. The Instagram queens is focused. Okay? YouTube is off the hook today. Normally Instagram is off the hook. Instagram is the hood. But today YouTube is tripping off. So anyhow, pre-referral intervention means we try to solve the problem without special education or testing. We try to solve the problem without special education or testing, okay? So PRI, pre-referral intervention. Okay? Okay? And then there's another one, RTI, response to intervention. You can use either one, PRI or RTI. PRI or RTI, pre-referral intervention, or response to intervention, PRI, RTI. Now, let's talk about the difference between, let's talk about what PRI and RTI are. Let's talk about what PRI and RTI are. Let's talk about what PRI and RTI are, okay? Let's talk about what PRI and RTI are, okay? Pre-referral intervention in response to intervention. Pre-referral intervention and response to intervention speak directly to pre-referral intervention and response to intervention speak to a school's responsibility to try to solve a problem without special ed services. Does everybody hear me? Does everybody hear me? Pre-referral intervention and response to intervention speaks to a school's responsibility to try to solve your child's problem without special ed. Many of you, once they contact you and say that we feel your child needs special ed, what's the next thing they do, parents? The next thing they do, the very next thing they do, is they give you permission to evaluate. Permission to evaluate. What's the next thing? Can you please sign the permission to evaluate form so we can let our racist school psychologist evaluate your child? Please sign the pre-referral intervention form so we can let the racist psychologist evaluate your child. What's going on with Instagram? Goodness gracious. Right? Please sign the permission to evaluate form so we can let the racist psychologist evaluate your child. And what I want you parents to understand, what I'm trying to get you parents to understand, do not sign the permission form. Do not sign the permission to evaluate form. When they call you up and ask you, can we test your child? Can we evaluate your child? Say no. What you're going to do is we're going to have a meeting to design the pre-referral intervention program for my son. No, I'm not signing. You're not testing my child. The federal law says you're supposed to try to help my son before we consider special ed. You're supposed to try to help my daughter before we consider special ed. In black public and charter schools, they skip right over stage 2. 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 Not free, my brother. Not free, K. It's not free. I don't got to evaluate you, baby. Please don't tell me you need an evaluation now. Not free referral. Pre-referral. All right? You ain't got no listening comprehension disability. Do you need an evaluation by Dr. Umar Johnson? Okay. Do I need to get out that adult IQ test? Where my adult IQ test at? I'm just picking with you, baby. But it's pre-referral intervention process. So parents, don't let them skip over. Don't let them skip over. Don't let them skip over the pre-referral intervention process, okay? All right. Okay. Don't let them skip over step 2. Step 2 is coming up with strategies to help your child. Step 2 is coming up with strategies to help your child. Step 2 is coming up with strategies to help your child without special ed. Step 2 is coming up with strategies to help your child without special ed. This is one of the most ignored steps. This step gets ignored. And why do they ignore step 2? Why do they ignore the pre-referral intervention process? Why do they ignore the response to intervention process? And the reason they ignore it is because the white teacher wants your son out of her class. The white teacher wants your son out of the class. And the longer you make them work with your child, that's the longer she has to wait to get him out of the classroom. But it is your responsibility as the black parent. It is your responsibility as the black parent. It is your responsibility as the black parent to tell them, I'm not signing. You are not testing my child until you try to help my child. You are not testing my child until you try to help my child. You are not testing my child until you try to help my child. If you don't try to help my child, I will never give you permission to test my child. Make sure they implement an intervention plan first. Make sure they implement an intervention plan first. Make sure they implement an intervention plan first. Brothers and sisters. So, how long should the intervention period last? How long should they work with your child before they come back to you and say, we've tried and he still can't read? We've tried and she still can't count. We've tried and he still can't control his emotions. We've tried and he still presents like he's intellectually disabled. How long should they try the intervention program? How long should they implement it? In my opinion, there is no set time. First of all, there is no set time. This is when you use your common sense. There is no set time. This is when you ask yourself, how much time should I reasonably give them to try to help my child before I start considering that maybe there might be a problem? How much time should I give them to work with my child before I start reasonably considering that there might be a problem? In my opinion, the intervention period should last at least 1/2 of a full marking period. 1/2 of a full marking period at least. Best case, we give them at least 1 full marking period. 1/2 of a full marking period to an entire marking period. But let me tell you what you do not accept. Let me tell you what you do not accept as an acceptable intervention period. You do not accept 2 weeks. You do not accept 4 weeks. You do not accept 1 week, because they will do that to you if you coonish enough to let them. They will do that to you if you coonish enough to let them. They will come back to you after 3 weeks and say, we tried and he can't read. And guess what? In those 3 weeks, they were not even working with your child every day. In those 3 weeks, they were not even working with your child every day. In those 3 weeks, they may have seen your child twice a week. Twice a week for 30 minutes. That's not enough time. That's not enough time. And that is why I recommend to black parents. That is why I recommend to black parents. That is why I recommend to black parents, create your own intervention plan. Create your own pre-referral intervention plan. Here we go back to Marcus Garvey's self-determination. Here we go back to Marcus Garvey's independence. Here we go back to Marcus Garvey's self-determination. Why are you trusting the school to help your child? Why are you trusting the public school to help your child? Why can't you go and get a tutor to help your child? Why can't you go and work with your child on your own after school or on the weekend? You don't trust them. Why would the people who miseducate now remediate? Let me ask you that question again. Why would the same people who miseducated your child turn around and remediate your child? Why would the same people who miseducated your child turn around and remediate your child? Does it make any sense? Does it make the same people who's responsible for why he can't read are going to turn around and help him read now? You couldn't teach him how to read in a whole year, and now you're going to do it with a 6-week intervention plan? You couldn't teach my daughter how to count for 3 years, but now you're going to turn around and teach her how to count in 5 weeks. Use your common sense. Use your common sense. Use your common sense. Because guess what, mom and dad? Guess what they're going to do? If you let the school be responsible for the intervention plan, they're not going to work with your child. They're going to act like they're working with your child. They're going to come back to you 6 weeks later, and they're going to tell you that your child is still struggling, and your child is going to look worse now than they did 6 weeks ago. On paper, they're going to make your child look worse. They're going to make your child look worse 6 weeks after the fake intervention plan than they looked 6 weeks before the fake intervention plan. You don't trust them, ever. Go and get your own tutor. Enroll your child in an academic improvement program. And stay away from places like Sylvan Learning Center. Sylvan Learning Center will put your ass in debt. You don't need Sylvan Learning Center. All you need is a high school tutor. All you need is a college level tutor. Make sure they're not pedophiles. Make sure they're not pedophiles. Don't leave them alone with your child, not even to run to the store because you don't know them. Find you a retired teacher. Find you a retired teacher and ask the retired teacher to work with your child. They might do it for free. They might do it for free. The problem is you too stingy to spend your money on your child's education. You're too stingy to spend $100 a month on a tutor. Are you serious? Your child is going to end up in special education because you too damn trifling to spend $100 or $200 on your child, but you'll spend $300 on your weave. You're too trifling to spend $100 or $200 on your child, but you'll spend $300 on your weave. You'll spend $50 a week on your nails. You'll spend $500 on a Louis bag. You'll spend $200 on some Nike boots or some Timbs. You'll spend $20,000 on some rims, but you ain't got a couple $100 a month to help your child learn how to read. You trifling ass black parents. Cut it out. If you got a $300 weave and your son can't read, you getting the coon tax. You getting the coon tax. If you got a $300 weave and your son can't read, you getting the coon tax. You getting the coon tax. Black man, you got on $300 sunglasses, $100 pair of Air Force Ones, $200 pair True Religion jeans, $2,500 gold chain, $20,000 rims on your truck, $800 a month car note, and your son can't count, your trifling ass is getting the coon tax. You getting the coon tax. Put the children first. Not dreads, locks. Not dreads, locks. Not dreads, locks. White folks call them dreads. We call them locks. White folks call them dreads. We call them locks. And now they want to wear the locks. But we call those shit locks. Because their hair don't lock up. That's not hair. It's called fur. Shit locks. Their hair don't lock up because it's not hair. It's fur. And that's facts. And that's facts. And that's facts. So, intervention. Now, for the sake of conversation, email your autobiographical letter of interest for the course of Pan-African Philosophy Leadership Training Colloquium to drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. The email address, my brother, is drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. Remember, you will take a 100-question multiple choice test every class. If you don't pass the class, you don't get a certificate. If you don't pass the class, you don't get a certificate and you don't get a refund. So do not email me if you're not serious. I take this work very serious. This is not no damn YouTube seminar. This is real study now. Real study. You got to master these books now. You got to master these books. I'm not playing with y'all. You got to master these books. I'm not playing with y'all. Okay? You trying to go to Kemet with us this summer? If you're trying to go to Kemet with us, shoot me a text and I'll shoot you Mother Sharifa's info. If you're trying to go to Kemet with us, July 22nd to August the 6th, July 22nd to August the 6th, July 22nd to August the 6th, you can register this week. Okay? We got an emergency registration going on. Emergency registration this week. King Tut, Tutankhamun. What does Tutankhamun mean? The living image of God. Tutankhamun, the living image of God. Okay? So anyhow, brothers and sisters, let's get back. So for the sake of conversation, we're going to assume. For the sake of conversation, we're going to assume that your child has a problem. You've done the interventions. The school has done the interventions. And he still ain't reading. She still can't count. He still got emotional problems. You still see some autism. Okay? You still see some intellectual disability. What is stage 3? Stage 3, permission to evaluate. Stage 3, permission to evaluate. Stage 3, permission to evaluate. That's when you sign the paper. That's when you sign the paper. That's when you give them permission to evaluate your child. They have 60 days, maximum. They have 60 days, maximum. They have 60 calendar days from the date you sign the paper until they produce your child's psychological evaluation report, multidisciplinary evaluation report. Remember, that's the same thing. Remember, that's the same thing. Whether it says multidiscipline evaluation, whether it says special education evaluation, whether it says school psychological evaluation, it is the same thing. Don't let the words confuse you. As long as it says evaluation, you know what it is. So that's when that's when myself, that's when the school psychologists, most of whom are white, that's when the school psychologists, most of whom are white, that's when the school psychologists, most of whom are white, is going to call your son into the office, call your daughter into the office. They're going to sit down with them and they're going to give them an IQ test and an achievement test and a psychological test and a behavior measure and a visual motor assessment and an adaptive behavior measure. And they're going to observe your child in the classroom and they're going to interview you as the mother and the father and they're going to interview the teacher and they're going to review the records and they're going to put all of that into a report. They're going to put all of that into a report. In 60 days, you're going to get the report. In 60 days, you're going to get the report. And guess what? What's the first thing I want you to look for? What's the first thing I want you to look for? Couple tips for the evaluation report. You must get it within 60 days or less. What's a couple tips? Couple things I want you to look for on your child's school psychological evaluation report. We're dealing with school psychological. I'm going to do a different seminar on clinical psychological. We're talking about school psychological. Clinical psychological, that's going to be another topic. Similar, but not the same. Okay? Couple things I want you to look at. Number one, Did the psychologist or anyone from the evaluation team interview you before they produced the report? Did anybody ask you what you think? Did anybody ask you how long you've been seeing these problems? Did anybody ask you if you even agree that you have a problem? Did anybody ask you, was your child born full term? How many different schools they've been to? Have they had any problems at home that might explain their academic problems other than a learning disability? If you were not interviewed, if they give you a report and you were not interviewed, tear that shit up and throw it in their face. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? I'm going to say it again. If you ever get a report from your child about your child, I don't care if it's from the school, the hospital, or the clinic. I don't care if it's from the school, the hospital, or the clinic. I don't care if it's from the school, the hospital, or the clinic. If you ever get a psychological eval, if you ever get a psychological evaluation that diagnosed your child or classified your child with anything before they talk to you, if nobody had the respect to ask you what's going on, then guess what? We're going to say the evaluation is null and void. This eval is null and void because as the mother and the father, you never even spoke to me to get the relevant background information. So I'm tearing this shit up and I am now demanding. I am now demanding my federal right to an independent educational evaluation. I am demanding my federal right as a parent to an independent educational evaluation for my child. I need all parents to understand. I need all parents to understand. I need all parents to understand. If you don't agree with the evaluation, if you have a problem with the evaluation, if you don't like the evaluation, if you don't trust the evaluation, you have a federal right to an independent educational evaluation. You have a federal right to an independent educational evaluation. You know what that means? That means you write a letter to the school. That means you write a letter to the school. That means you write a letter to the principal. The principal. Only the principal has legal authority. Only the principal has legal authority. All of your letters should go to the principal because only the principal has legal authority. And you want to write, I am not a Mason. I am not an elk. I am not a homosexual. I am not anything but a revolutionary Pan-African nationalist. So will you please get off these nuts? Let's get back to the conversation. See, I'm so real that you need me to be fake. Because I'm the only doctor you know who's still in the hood like I'm a corner boy. I'm so real, you need me to be fake. I'm the only one in the conscious community that's teaching parents how to save their children. You can't name another Negro, male, female, youth, or elder who has done more to resurrect the consciousness of black parents as it relates to education and mental health. I am the greatest all time when it comes to that. I'm so real, you need me to be fake. Y'all got GoFundMe to shut me down, and I'm still here. Y'all went to the State Board of Psychology to shut me down. I'm still here. Y'all done sent coon and cracker after me time after time, and the prince is still here because Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, finish what I started, Dr.Ifatunde. So you can keep on cooning, Negro. In fact, your ass should have been in special ed with your dumb ass. Let me give you a free IQ test. I'm going to give you a free IQ test. I bet you your shit at like 50 IQ. Little silly ass Negro. Mad as hell because you ain't got no swag. You mad because the queens ain't checking your little beta male ass. You probably 4 feet tall with a size 16 sneaker, stomach hanging all over your damn belt line, bald spot in the middle, extra skinny ass neck. Sit your ass down, you little beta male. Getting back on topic. Getting back on topic. If they did not interview you, tear up the report and demand an independent educational evaluation. If you're not sure if you agree with the report, that's why you have Brother Ifatunde. If you need a professional reviewer, Dr. Umar, can you please review my child's report? Dr. Umar, my child just got evaluated. Can you please review this report and let the mother and myself or the father and myself know what you think about our child's report? That's why I'm here. That's when you pay for your consultation. That's when you pay for your consultation. Okay? What else do I want you to look for in the report? Okay? Second tip. If your child's report is more than 15 pages long, listen, parents, if your child's psychological evaluation report in the school, if your child's special education evaluation report in the school, if your child's multidisciplinary evaluation report is more than 15 pages long, I am suspicious that the psychologist did not write the report. He simply used a computer program to produce the report. Listen to me, parents. Listen to me. We have programs that will type your child's report. All we do is put in the numbers. All we do is put in the numbers. All we do is put in the numbers, and the computer will print out a report. But let me ask you a question. How does the computer know your child? Does the computer know your child? Did the computer interview you? Did the computer observe your child? Did the computer interview the teacher? Did the computer look at your child's records? So if the computer don't know your child, and if the computer didn't test your child, and if the computer didn't observe your child, and if the computer didn't interview the parent, how in the hell can the computer create a report about your child? And guess what? Some black parents think a long report is a good report. Some black parents think that a long report is a good report. Some black parents think that a long report is a good report. No, I'm looking for a chef, a vegan chef in every city. So when I come to that city, I already know who's preparing my food. Okay? Vegan chef. I'm also looking for a licensed or certified or trained masseuse. Okay? Okay? Because I have lower back issues and I got flat feet. I need a masseuse in every city, but I want a real one. Licensed, trained, professional. Not no thotty. Okay? I need real because y'all will set me up for another quid pro quo. Okay? No more scandals. No more scandals. Masseuse with an office, a parlor, professional sister. Okay, I don't want no men touching my body. I do not do male masseuse. I don't want no man rubbing on me. I don't get down like that. I know some brothers don't mind a man rubbing on their skin. I'm not feeling that shit. It's just too much homo out here, okay? I want female masseuse and the chef. The chef can be a male. I don't mind that, brothers, if you cook. You know what I mean? Ex-offender brothers got the chef game. You do vegan, vegetarian food, that will work for me. But the masseuse has to be a woman. I'm looking for that in every major city. All right. If you got that, hit me up on the email Send me some referrals, people you've worked with before, so I can check them out. Make sure you legit. You're not no agent, okay? No undercover prostitute, no stripper, none of that. Okay? Hit me up. 215-989-985. Negro. Did that Negro just say he knows a tranny who does massages? I can't even respond to that. I'm just going to let that one fly right on over. I'm going to let that one fly. You out your damn mind. Anyhow, getting back on topic. Getting back on topic. If the report is more than 15 pages, you might want Dr. Umar to look at it. If the report is more than 15 pages, you might want Dr. Umar to look at it because it might be computer-generated report. And it's okay to ask the psychologist that. Was this a computer-generated report? Was this a computer-generated report? Because I don't want no computer producing a report for my child. I want a living human being to produce a report for my child. Do y'all feel me? Do y'all feel me? Do y'all feel me? Okay? So, what's something else you want to look for on the report? What's something else Dr. Umar wants you to look for on the report? What's something else Dr. Umar wants you to look for on the report? Make sure the tests are listed and the scores are included. If you ever get a report, and you don't see no scores, tear it up and give it back. Never accept a test without the scores. Why is it so important to have the scores? Why should you never accept an evaluation without the scores? Because if you don't have the scores, and if you don't have the name of the tests, if you don't have the scores, and you don't have the name of the test, how do you know they tested your child at all? How do you know they didn't just make all of this up? How do you know they didn't just make all of this up? The report must have the name of the tests and the scores. The report must have the name of the tests and the scores. The report must have the name of the tests and the scores. If you get a report, flip to the back. Flip to the back. This should be 1 or 2 pages with all the tests and all the scores. And the other reason you need all of, yes, I need security in every city too, my brother. My good brother Osaze out of Memphis, Tennessee is heading up the African Guards of Garvey. Who ready for that? We need brothers and sisters for the African Guards of Garvey. Who ready for the military of the new Pan-African world? The new Pan-African world order. We about to implement and establish a new Pan-African world order. If you down with that, send me an email if you want to be on the military. The Team Pan-African Military, the African Guards of Garvey. I'm trying to come to Rhode Island. But y'all won't find me no venue. I know it's only 2.5 blacks in Rhode Island. But that's why they need me there. I'm trying to come to Vermont. I know it's only 3.5 blacks in Vermont. But that's why they need me. I'm trying to come to New Hampshire. I know it's only 4.5 blacks in New Hampshire. But I'm trying to come to New Hampshire. So if you live in a city that ain't got a lot of blacks, you live in North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Utah, I'm looking for y'all, but y'all won't find me no venue. I'm trying to hit every state. I'm trying to hit every country. I done hit every continent except Australia. I done already hit every continent except Australia. Now I'm trying to hit every state. I want to educate all of the parents. Okay? Augusta, Georgia, we working on you. Jacksonville, Florida, we working on you. Phoenix, Arizona, we working on you. Albuquerque, New Mexico, we working on you. Salt Lake City, we working on you. Brooklyn, New York City, I'm working on you. Okay? Get your tickets, drumarjohnson.eventb.com. Get your tickets for Montgomery, Alabama, July the 8th. Get your tickets right now. Suffolk, Virginia, Sunday, July the 15th. Get your tickets right now. Elizabeth City, North Carolina, August the 31st. Get your tickets right now. Raleigh, North Carolina, September 2nd. Get your tickets right now. Dallas, Texas, Sunday, September 16th. Get your tickets right now. Shreveport, Louisiana. Shreveport, Louisiana for the first time. Friday, September the 14th. Get your tickets now. Haiti, October. The Prince is coming. I'm coming to see the grave of one of the greatest revolutionaries of all time, Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Toussaint don't have a grave. Napoleon didn't give him a grave in Paris. But I understand that there is a shrine to Emperor Dessalines, first emperor of Haiti. So I'm coming. University of Bahamas, June the 30th. Black Conscious Singles Retreat, Jamaica, it's coming. Black Conscious Singles Retreat, Jamaica, it's coming. Black Conscious Single Men and Women Retreat in Jamaica. I'm working on it right now. This is not an orgy. This is not an orgy. This is a respectable coming together, a spiritual conference of black singles, because I want to be able to say that God used me to bring them two together in marriage. God used me to bring them two together in marriage. God used me to bring that brother and those two queens together in marriage. God used me to bring that couple together in marriage. Black Wives Matter. Black Wives Matter. So let's get back to it. Okay? Make sure there's scores on the report. Another reason why you want to make sure there's scores on the report. The other reason why you want to make sure there's scores on the report is if you need Dr. Umar to review your child's psychological evaluation. If you ever need Dr. Umar to review your child's psychological evaluation, I need to see the scores to see if I agree with the formulation and the determination of disability. Let me say that again. If you ever need Dr. Umar Johnson to review your child's psychological evaluation, I need to see the scores so I can determine if I agree with the formulation and determination of the disability. If you give me, stop being disrespectful, Logical. Stop being disrespectful to the sisters. We're not going to sexually objectify our women. We're not going to sexually objectify our women. We are not going to sexually objectify our women. I don't want to block you, my brother, because you've been supporting. I don't want to block you. But please don't put that. He put big booty black wives matter. Stop being a coon, brother. I don't want to block you. No more big booty black wives matter, okay? We ain't into that. It's about the soul of a woman. Because no woman is going to look good for the rest of her life. So you got to fall in love with the soul and not the body. Of course, we love beautiful black women, obviously. Okay? Okay? But it's about the spirit of the woman. Okay? Not the buns. Stop focusing on the buns. The buns will come. Focus on the soul. Okay? So, now he talking about little booty black women matter. Stop it, fellas. YouTube tripping today. Facebook has been very calm. Facebook has been very calm. Instagram has been calm. YouTube is tripping. I think all y'all was partying last night. Y'all had a couple one-night stands. Y'all had some Ciroc and Alizé and Henny, and YouTube tripping today. Facebook and Instagram chilling. But anyhow, I can't review your child's report without the scores. Toronto, I will be coming to Toronto, Canada. I know we had a situation last time, okay, where certain funds wasn't paid and certain deadlines wasn't met, but I'm going to make that up to Toronto. I'm definitely going to make that up to Toronto. So we will be coming. We will be coming. All right. So what's the last tip for the psychological evaluation? Check the report. Make sure no other child's name is in your child's report. Why would another child's name be in your son's report? Why would another child's name be in your son's report? Because lazy psychologists, lazy school psychologists do not type your child's evaluation report from start to finish. Lazy psychologists, black or white, do not type your child's psychological evaluation report from scratch. You know what they do? They find another child who they've already evaluated. They find another child who they've already evaluated. They find another child who they already evaluated, and all they do is change the name and the birth date and the student ID and the teacher name, and they print it out. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen parents get another child's report and don't even know it. So you have to read the report to make sure this is about your child. Because you might read the parent interview and you might say to yourself, I never said none of this. I never said none of this. You might read your child's history and they got schools in there your child never been to. They talking about your husband and you never been married. They talk about your wife and you never had no wife. They naming people you don't even know. You know why? Because all they did was take another old report, put your child's name in it, and print it out. I've seen it. Oh, yes. You better be on your job. You better be on your job. You better be on your job. I'm telling you, if you knew what really go on in these schools, there would be a revolution tomorrow. If black parents really knew what schools were doing in these, what white folks and coons were doing in these schools, there would be a revolution tomorrow. Okay? So, your child was evaluated. What is the next step? The next step after the evaluation is a meeting to review it. That's when you ask all of your questions about the evaluation. Now listen to me clearly. Listen to me clearly. Listen to me clearly. My cell number, 215-989-9858. Don't leave no voicemail, text me. Don't leave no voicemail, text me. 215-989-9858. Okay? If you need me to review that report, use the Cash app, $ Dr.Umar Johnson, no period. Dr. Johnson, no period. $ Dr.Umar Johnson. Okay? Send your $50. Screenshot your receipt, text that to me with your name, and I will text you and ask you, when are you ready for the review, and have you emailed me the report. Text me the receipt, and I will text you and ask you, have you emailed the report, and when are you ready for the review? You and the father. If the father is involved, I want to review it together. Black mother, stop leaving the fathers out. Black father, stop leaving the mother out. 215-989-9858. Okay? Text only. If you need to leave a voicemail, okay? 844-4-DRUMAR. 844-4 Dr. Umar. No, Anna, we cannot have phone sex. Anyway, getting back on topic. Listen to the next step. Listen to the next step. After you receive the evaluation, there's a meeting called the multidisciplinary team meeting, or the evaluation report meeting, so you can go over the evaluation. Listen to me, parents. Listen to me, parents. The school is not required to review the report with you. You have to ask for it. The school is not required to review the report with you. You have to ask for it. The school is not required to review the report with you. You have to ask for it. The school is not required to review the report with you. You have to ask for it. Did everybody understand what I just said? When they give you the report, here's your report, your child's evaluation. They do not have to go over it with you. The law does not require them to go over it with you. You have to tell them, I have the report and I am requesting an evaluation report review meeting. Evaluation report review meeting. I have questions. Evaluation report review meeting. Evaluation report review. I want to review my child's report. I have some questions about the disability. Never, ever go into an IEP meeting unless you had an evaluation review meeting. Never go into an IEP meeting unless you've had an evaluation report review meeting. Never go into an IEP meeting unless you've had an evaluation report meeting. Yes? Every state is different. Hold on. I had to wash my apple off. Now, the reason you never want to have an IEP meeting unless you had your evaluation review meeting is because you need to fully understand the evaluation and why they came up and how they came up with the disability to make sure you are prepared for the IEP. You have to make sure you are prepared for the IEP. Okay? Listen, let me tell you what they do. Let me tell you where black parents really get shammed. Let me tell you where black parents really get shammed. Let me show you how black parents really get shammed. Okay? You go into an IEP meeting and they give you the report for the first time. How many of you mothers have had this happen? How many of you fathers have had this happen? The first time you see your child's report is at the IEP meeting. How many of you, the first time you saw your child's report was at the IEP meeting? You walk in and they say, here's the report, and now we're going to do the IEP. Do you know how disrespectful that is? Do you know how disrespectful that is? Do you know how disrespectful that is for them to give you a report? No, you ain't read it, you ain't seen it, and they say, we're going to go right into the IEP. Do you know what that means? That means they don't give a shit about you or your child. That means they don't give a damn about what you think or your child. Don't you ever let them do that to you. And they do it to black parents every day. They do it to black parents every day. They do it to black parents every day. You are supposed to have your child's evaluation report, psychological evaluation report, at least 10 days before the IEP meeting. You are supposed to have your child's psychological evaluation report, special ed evaluation report, at least 10 days before the IEP meeting, unless you waive your right. Unless you waive your right. Why would a black parent want to waive their right to have their child's evaluation report 10 days before the IEP? Give me a good reason. Can somebody please give me a good reason why a black mother or father dealing with the school to prison pipeline would waive their right to have their report at least 10 days before the IEP meeting? Only a coon would do that. Only a coon would do that. No, I haven't lost weight. I haven't lost weight. I might have lost weight. I don't know. I'm still Big Papa. I'm still notorious RBG. Okay, don't take my title, okay? I'm holding it down for Christopher Wallace. The only Christopher we acknowledge is Wallace. Baby. Okay, so it must have been the apple. It must have been the apple. It must have been the apple. So go over the report. Make sure you understand the report. You can have a consultation with Dr. Umar Johnson to prepare for the meeting. Okay? And then you go into the IEP meeting, stage 6. Okay? Stage 1, child find. Stage 2, response to intervention, pre-referral intervention plan. Stage 3, you sign the permission to evaluate form. Stage 4, the multidisciplinary evaluation, special ed evaluation, school psychological evaluation. Stage 5, evaluation, report, review meeting. Stage 6, IEP meeting. We are 6 of 8. We're almost done. First of all, because I don't want to waste your time, is this information beneficial to you? I don't want to waste your time. Is this information helping out my mothers? Is this information helping out my fathers? Is this information helping out my black foster parents, my black adoptive parents, big brothers and big sisters and aunts and uncles taking care of your nieces and nephews? Is this helping you? Okay? If it's helping my queens, give me a heart. If it's helping my fellas, give me a fist. If it's helping my queens, give me a heart. If it's helping my brothers, give me a fist. Let me know it's beneficial, because I'm trying to give you what nobody else is going to give you. None of the Hoteppers can do this for you. None of the YouTube revolutionaries can do this for you. None of the RBG capitalists can do this for you. Only Ifatunde can do this for you. Okay? So let's continue. Stage 6 is the IEP meeting. Stage 6 is the IEP meeting. Do not walk into the IEP meeting unprepared. This is your child's future. The IEP is either a funeral, okay, or it is a baptism. The IEP meeting will either be a academic funeral for your child or an academic baptism for your child. They will either be blessed with a good future or they will be cursed with an academic death. The IEP is either an academic funeral or it is an academic baptism, and you decide which one it's going to be. You decide which one it's going to be. No, if you want to go to Africa, you got to text me, and I'll send you Mother Sharifa's phone number and email. You don't have to pay all your money this week. You don't have to pay all your money this week, but you do have to put down a deposit. We leave and return to New York City Airport, I think JFK. We leave and return to JFK, July 22nd to August 6th. July 22nd to August 6th. We'll be going to Addis Ababa, the Valley of the Kings. We'll be going to Luxor. We'll be going to Cairo. It's going to be powerful. We're going to be cruising on the Nile River, brothers and sisters. I'm going to be leading a meditation seminar. I'm going to be leading a meditation because I want to tap into all that ancestral energy. I want to tap into all that ancestral energy. I want to tap into all that ancestral energy. I want to tap Sekhmet, where my Leos at? Sekhmet, where my Leos at? Sekhmet, where my Leos at? I want to tap into all that ancestral energy. You feel me? Tap all into it. We want to tap all into it. Tap all into all that ancestral energy while we in Kemet in Ethiopia. Okay? That's what we trying to do. That's what we trying to do. Okay? Tap into all that ancestral energy. You're going to tap into all that ancestral energy, that netter power. That netter power. We're going to tap into all that netter power. Okay? We're going to get y'all some Hotep names. Since y'all like Hotep, and we're going to get you some Hotep names. Get you some Cairo shea butter. Get you some Cairo shea butter. Okay, we're going to be doing all that for y'all. We're going to be doing all that for y'all. I got my amethyst. I'm all into the stones. Where my stone people at? Where my stone people? Who deal with the crystals? Who dealing with the crystals out there? That's my amethyst. I love this stone. That's my amethyst. Who dealing with the crystals out there? Who dealing with them crystals out there? Another lapis lazuli, third eye. Lapis lazuli, third eye. Lapis lazuli. I love my crystals. I love my crystals out there. Okay. Okay. Some black tourmaline, keep the negative spirits away. Some black tourmaline, keep the negative spirits away. All the negative energy the haters be throwing at me. All that negative energy the haters be throwing at me, got to keep that away. Got to keep that away. Black tourmaline, keep the haters off. Okay. So, IEP. The IEP is the curriculum for the disabled child in the disabled area. The IEP is the curriculum for the disabled child in the disabled area. Shout out to all my Philly people. I'm here. North Philly, I see you. South Philly, I see you. Mount Airy, I see you. Germantown, I see you. West Oak Lane, I see you. Northeast Philly, I see you. Southwest, I see you. Darby, Yaden, I see you. North Philly for life. Susquehanna Avenue, 22nd Street, Ridge, Allegheny, Erie, EA all day. You feel me? No doubt. No doubt. 15th Street, 18th Street, 16th Street. I'm here, baby. Ridge Avenue. I'm here. All right. Lehigh Avenue. I'm here. Okay. So anyhow, 22nd and Diamond, I see you. Anybody find Jill Scott? You find Jill Scott walking down North Philly. Tell her the Papa's still waiting. Tell Jilly from Philly what's taking so long. Tell Jilly from Philly what's taking. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So with the IEP, you want to walk into the meeting with a list of goals that you want the IEP team to work on with your child. When you walk into the IEP meeting, you want a list of goals already ready that you want the IEP team to work on with your child. Don't walk in there and let them tell you what they're going to do. You should show up. Since my son got a reading disability, he needs to work on his consonant blends. He need to work on his ending sounds. He need to work on his 3-syllable words. He need to work on his comprehension of sentences. You walk in there telling them this is what you're going to work on with my child while he's in special ed. Don't let them tell you. Don't let them dictate to you. A lazy parent is a useless parent, and a useless parent is a trifling parent. A lazy parent is a useless parent, and a useless parent is a trifling parent. Make sure you go into the IEP meeting prepared. Prepared. And I have a whole nother seminar that I'm going to redo. Some of y'all saw me when I did it before. It was like my 3rd YouTube video. I was wearing all pink. And it got removed because the song that I played was copyrighted. They got it taken down. So I'm going to redo the IEP seminar because the IEP process needs its own seminar. Okay, and I'm going to go into this in Montgomery, Alabama. I'm going to go into this in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm going to go into this in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And I'm going to touch on it also in Dallas and in Raleigh and in Suffolk, Virginia. Get your tickets because it's going to be hot and heavy. Okay? So I'm going to save that. But simply stated, the IEP needs to be prepared for. This is your child's life. This is your child's learning. This is your child's education. Make sure you prepare. And what is my rule for meetings, moms and dads? What is my rule for meetings, moms for dads? What is Dr. Umar's main rule for meetings, moms and dads? My main rule, never go by yourself. Never go by yourself. Don't go to the pre-referral intervention meeting by yourself. Don't go to the multidisciplinary team meeting by yourself. Don't go to the evaluation review meeting by yourself. Don't go to the IEP meeting by yourself. Stop going alone. It lets them know you have no support. You need a witness in case you need to sue. You need a witness in case you need to complain. You need a witness in case you need to take them to due process. Never go alone. Next step, number 7 of 8 is the new IEP. You must get a new IEP every 180 days. You must get a new IEP every 180 days. Why? Because school is 180 days. There's 180 days of first grade. There's 180 days of second grade. There's 180 days of third grade. There's 180 days of fourth grade. There's 180 days of fifth grade. There's 180 days of sixth grade. So if the IEP is the curriculum for the disabled child in the disabled area, they go to another level every 180 days. And if they don't call you, you call them. Don't wait 180 days. At 130 days, you call them and say, my son's IEP is up in 50 days. My daughter's IEP is up in 50 days. Let's go ahead and schedule it now. Okay? And then step number 8, the last and final step of the special education evaluation process, school psychological evaluation process, multidisciplinary evaluation process. The 8th and final step is the re-evaluation, which means you go through this whole process again. How often do you go through this whole process again? If the child has any of the 12 disabilities, okay? Intellectual disability excluded. If a child is retarded, now called intellectual disability by President Barack Obama since 2008, 2009, if the child has an intellectual disability, formerly called retardation, he must or she must be reevaluated every 2 years. That's the federal law. I don't care if you live in Texas. I don't care if you live in Pennsylvania. I don't care if you live in Ohio. I don't care if you live in Detroit, Chicago, Houston, Oakland, California. Shout out to Oakland. Shout out to Oakland. Shout out to Oakland. You will see me in September. It's going down. Oakland, California. I will be at the Huey P. Newton Library at one of the colleges out there. Oaktown, get ready. You know how we do in Oakland, baby. You know how we do in Oakland. Okay? I was about to say something, but I'm going to keep that to myself. Anyway, where was I? I had an ADHD moment. Reeval. If the child has an intellectual disability, they must be reevaluated every 2 years. Remember that, parents. Every 2 years. All other disabilities, at least every 3 years. Now, your state might say, we're going to reevaluate every 2 years for everybody. They can do that. But the federal law says it must be at least every 3 years for everyone except the retarded youth. For intellectually disabled youth, every 2 years. Everybody else, every 3 years. And those are the 8 steps of the psychological evaluation process. Okay? So that is Dr. Umar's seminar for today. If you have topics that you want me to cover for education and mental health, I want to try to balance out my YouTube channel. I want to try to balance out my YouTube channel with education and politics, mental health, and Pan-Africanism. So for people who are not as conscious as others, they can still derive some kind of benefit from my YouTube. Unfortunately, YouTube will not let me monetize my channel. Unfortunately, YouTube will not let me monetize my channel. I don't know what's going on, but YouTube has refused to let me monetize my channel. So if you want to donate to Dr. Umar's works, you can do it with the Cash App, $ Dr. Umar Johnson. That's $ DRUMAR Johnson. $ DRUMAR Johnson through the Cash App. If you want to donate to the school, you cannot use the Cash App for FDMG. Do not use the Cash App for FDMG. For FDMG, you must mail a check or money order payable to FDMG, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, PA. FDMG, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, PA 19132. If you are a apparel producer or merchandise, if you sell apparel, if your apparel company is interested in producing a line of t-shirts for Dr. Umar Johnson, please get in contact with me. I'm looking for someone who can print and ship on my behalf. Okay? Using my logos, my images, you design the shirt, I sell the shirt, and we will negotiate as to what percentage of the sales you will keep and what percentage of the sales I will keep. Again, I'm looking for people who can produce an Ifatunde line of clothing for me with the ability to design, print, and ship. If you cannot design, print, and ship, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who have the ability to design, print, and ship. Feel free to email me or text me, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com, as well as drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. So again, Bahamas, June 30th, Atlanta, July 7th, Montgomery, Alabama, July the 8th, Suffolk, Virginia, July the 15th, Elizabeth City, North Carolina, August the 31st, Raleigh, North Carolina, September the 2nd, Shreveport, Louisiana, September the 14th, Dallas, Texas, September the 16th. Get your tickets at drumarjohnson.eventb.com. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I bid everyone a good week. Ashe, Black Power, and I look to see you soon. Don't forget to send your autobiographical letters of interest for the Pan-African Course of Philosophy, Course of Pan-African Philosophy, Leadership Training Colloquium to drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. Peace and love. Again, phone number 215-989-9858. Text message only, 215-989-9858. Peace and love. Black Power.